Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to the African Beat.
and Caribbean Heat podcast.
It's your boy, Obadolas, aka Dolama.
And I'm Queen Teah. Welcome back to our podcast.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
you doing today?
So far, good. Happy is the weekends. It's been a
Yes.
busy week with work,
Yeah.
and the weather is really hot, like 100 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I was sweating like never before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say earlier this week it was really warm, but I appreciate the fact that it's nice and cool this
Mm.
evening. So that means the fall season is in the
Yeah,
air.
and some people enjoyed it in the swimming pool.
Today?
No, like
Earlier this week.
yeah,
Yeah, I
why
was gonna say
some
not
didn't,
today. Today's a
you
little
know?
cold.
Yeah, why some
Mm-hmm.
didn't enjoy it like me?
Mm.
I'm not used to swimming, so I don't like I'm good.
Oh my goodness. Swimming is the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Growing up on the island, like that's what we do. You go to the beach, like you go to the grocery store, you go to the park. It's just part of your life,
Oh, wow.
so you learn how to swim and you just enjoy the water. I miss that so much.
Yeah, the last time I was swimming, I was struggling with the kids section. They had like a deep level, and I couldn't go my level. I had to go to kid level.
Wait, so you were in the 3 feet?
Yeah, and
That's
the kids are looking at me like, "Dude, what you doing
right,
here?"
right. I would look
I'm
at
like,
you
"I'm trying
too.
to survive here like
I'm trying to
that."
survive like you. That's
you
funny. That's hilarious. Well, maybe one day you learn how to swim.
yeah, it's on my bucket list.
It's on your bucket list.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. All right. So what are we talking about this episode?
Today we're talking about polygamy and monogamy,
Ay, ay,
and
ay.
every country
Whew.
has its differences in their belief
Okay.
and culture towards polygamy and monogamy.
Uh huh.
Yeah, so it's a really deep topic, and it's versatile in different countries
Mm-hmm.
and values and culture,
Okay.
and we respect everybody's culture and everybody's belief. So we never try to change people's mind to do what we want. We say, this is your culture, this is what you do, kudos to you. But
Okay.
we enlighten people on different cultures because there's an artist that says, if you know this, do you know that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about polygamy and monogamy, um, and how it's viewed in different cultures.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So I looked up some definitions for these words and I wanted to share them with our viewers. So the first one is polygamy, and the word is, or it means the practice or custom of having more than one wife or husband
Mhm.
at the same time. And then the word monogamy is the practice or the state of being married to one person at a time. So
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about polygamy. So, can you explain like what or how um, polygamy is maybe approached in your culture, or the part of the world that you're from, and then also talk about monogamy as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah, polygamy in Africa, we still do polygamy.
Okay.
People that mostly do polygamy are people that have the finances
Okay.
and the resources because Africa, you have to take care of your wife and kids,
Okay.
so you need a lot of resources and money to do that. So, but polygamy is still the culture and it's still accepted in
Okay.
my culture, and people do it, but it's not the rate of amount that people used to do it that they do it now.
Okay.
So, but you still have people that do it, and most especially people that have resources.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we have more of a average monogamy where people do more of monogamy,
Mm-hmm.
but have side chicks by their side. Some people, because I feel like polygamy has gone to a new level where it used to be you don't date a woman outside. Meaning, if you like a woman,
Okay.
you bring her in and you marry her and you make her, your wife's.
Mm-hmm.
Where nowadays you have a wife, but you hide in the other girls, or most of them don't hide it,
Okay.
and you have like three, four, five girlfriends that you call side chicks, and you see them and spend time with them, and you still spend money, but the only difference that you have one wife that's your all, and you have other girls that satisfy you in what you want or whatever you want. So that's polygamy in Africa.
Okay.
Polygamy, we still do polygamy. People still marry multiple wives for those that have the resources. And for me, like I support polygamy and I support monogamy. It depends on what you can do. If you're able to if you're able to handle more women financially, emotionally, in all capacities, kudos to you. I couldn't. Handle one woman is not easy.
Hey.
Talk more of two.
Okay.
So I'm straight for one,
I got you. I hear
because it's
you.
not even easy
Mm.
handling one woman. Talk more of more. But if I see people doing it, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
It's our culture.
Yeah.
Kudos.
So I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
So you shared that polygamy is something that is practiced in Africa.
Yeah.
I know there's other countries or
Mhm.
other continents in the world that practice polygamy. Um, and you mentioned that a lot of men, because in your examples, a lot of it pertained to the men.
Yeah.
So there really was no mention of a woman kind of taking the lead in that space. But anyway, but you mentioned that like men do it if they have like the resources, if they have the
Yeah.
money to do it. Outside of money and resources, why would someone choose polygamy? Your opinion? Why do you think someone would choose that?
Because of we men's, we are more of bringing lineage to the world, meaning
Okay.
our kids.
Okay.
The more money a man has, the more kid he wants.
Okay.
So polygamy is a way of you having multiple women by you that will give you more kids to your name,
Mm-hmm.
that will keep you more company, and that will enjoy your work. Because the more money we make, the more we want women to enjoy it. Because the reason why we make money in this world is to have somebody to enjoy it with, right?
Somebody or somebody's.
Somebody's or somebody, depending on what you have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I hear you.
So even to this day and age, men inside them they still want polygamy. Some men, or like I say, most men still desire polygamy,
Okay.
but they cannot do it because of the financial capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And um, polygamy gives men the opportunity to have more kids because sometimes you have a wife, she can only give you five. Or nowadays, women's are the highest they say is two or three. You hardly see women that say, okay, I want 4 kids or 5 kids. Like, how many kids? One, two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't force a woman to have more kids
Mm-hmm.
for you. So if she gives you two, you have another woman gives you two, you have another one gives you two. Maybe you want 10 kids because you can provide. You get like 5 women to give you 10 kids.
Wow.
So we live in an age that women don't want to give birth no more. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely the world has changed. It's not what it used to be. So what I'm hearing you saying that men who have the financial means would choose polygamy because they have the opportunity to have more than one wife,
Yeah.
and because there may be some limitations to what the woman can do physically as far as children. So creating that lineage.
Mhm.
So if the man had multiple wives, they can all carry his seed
Yeah.
for so like if like you said, if she's like I just only want to have 2 children but you want 10, ideally if were to a guy were to marry like 3 or 4 women, he could get his 10 kids
Yeah.
from that year. So another interesting thing I found when I was doing some research on polygamy and monogamy was that men were allowed to take a second wife in situations where the first wife was barren or she passed away.
Mhm.
So you do have some instances where um, the wife may not be able to physically carry children for whatever reasons. There may be some fertility issues, um, and because of that, and the wife understands the husband's needs and wants when it comes to like having children.
Mhm.
So in some instances, they may seek to get a second wife that can give him the children that he needs. But the thing about the second wife is that her status is not equal to the first wife.
Yeah.
Is that kind of similar?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, it's the same because of the first wife is always going to be the first wife.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is going to be there's going to be an issue in the future
Mm-hmm.
because if she don't have kids, second wife kids are going to end up taking the whatever investment
Mm-hmm.
or whatever property the man has,
Yeah.
and she's going to be left with none.
Yeah.
And that's where she feels bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she has to do what she has to do because her her husband needs kids, and kids are very important in Africa. Your mom, your family
Mm-hmm.
are not gonna let you go easily without giving your husband a kid. They're gonna think he's marrying a man. Your mom is gonna tell your husband's mom is gonna tell you you're not a woman, you're a man, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to give your man kids.
That seems pretty
So when that happens,
unreasonable.
man, I mean, people have their culture, people have their view,
So to tell a woman because she's physically unable to carry a child that she's a man, that's insulting. Why would you?
That's insulting, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying like what goes on, how people are and what people
Mm-hmm.
say,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the reality of life, that
It's not the
uh,
woman's fault she can't carry
it's not the
children.
woman's fault, that she can have kids, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why if she notices that she cannot have kids, then the husband will marry another woman and still keep her as the wife.
But then to your point, she has no rights. So if the
Mhm.
second wife has children for
Mhm.
the husband and something, Lord forbid, were to happen to him,
Mhm.
his children would um,
Inherit the property.
inherit,
Yeah,
yeah, inherit the
yeah,
what, yeah. And then the first wife, she's not going to be entitled to anything.
yeah,
So there really is like no incentive for her.
yeah. That's the culture. That's how it is. Just like in families, you have
Hmm.
firstborns get the most property of the father.
Okay.
The, the daughter don't get some properties.
Hmm.
So every country has a culture,
Hmm.
and you can look at it however you wanna look at it or judge
Hmm.
it. I mean, it's the reality, and
Um,
this is how they do it, and this
yeah.
is how it is.
No, no. So I want to be clear. It's not
Mhm.
a place for me. It's not coming from a place of like judgment.
Mhm.
It's coming from a place of trying to understand and have it make sense, because you know polygamy is not legal in the United States. I believe the only state here where I don't want to say like it's accepted, but it happens is in the
Mhm.
state of Utah,
Yeah.
and and they practice polygamy out there more so for religious reasons.
Mhm.
What I found in my research, um, so just understanding why a man would want to marry more than one wife, to me, um, it I don't want to say it doesn't make sense, but it just seems not really logical, especially in today's society. There needs to be a benefit,
Mhm.
a financial benefit, or something that either party is getting out of it. Because I don't see a woman just going along with sharing her husband with another woman
Mhm.
unless she was getting something out of the arrangement as well.
Yeah,
So,
so like what you said,
mhm,
women's always go by what they can receive from a man. It's always been history and it's always been current.
mhm,
Women's always go by what the man produces or provides.
okay,
To this day and age in the 21st century,
mhm,
that most women make more money than men, they still go for who's better than financially or better than in all aspects.
okay,
And it's the way of life. It's never changed and it's
mhm,
still the same.
mhm,
So women then were doing polygamy, and some women are still doing polygamy. Even though it's not legal in America, that's
mhm.
that's American culture.
Sure.
But cultures that polygamy is legal, they still do it,
Mhm,
and that's their culture.
mhm.
And life, I can't say that this doesn't make sense or that makes sense. Life, what doesn't make sense to me makes sense to somebody.
Sure.
What makes sense to me don't make sense to another person.
Sure.
What I do is I respect people's decision, people's
Mhm.
culture, people's life, and I live where I feel like the culture is the same
Yeah.
or where I feel comfortable.
Got it.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So polygamy, the life of the way I see life is productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
A man is meant to be producing generation to generation of his gene, of his lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the person that gives that uh, production is the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, woman's a man will marry a woman
Mm-hmm.
to produce his lineage,
Mm-hmm.
to have kids and a
Mm-hmm.
family and grow, right?
Yeah.
And polygamy was the best way. To this day and age, polygamy is still practiced. They don't call it polygamy because when you have baby mama, you have 4 or 5 girls that have your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have this one that have 3 kids for you. You have that one that have 4 kids for you. You have that one that has 2 kids for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you may be making like 6 figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
You divide the child support in maybe 4 or 5 baby mamas, right? And you pay child support to all those women to take care of your kids, and you take times to go and see those kids, right? But you live on your own. You don't live with those women. You you produce your timetable on who you want to see. What's the difference between that and polygamy? The only difference between that polygamy is that you're living with all those women.
Mm-hmm.
Those women are your wife officially.
Mm-hmm.
No other man can have, you know, sex with them or something like that,
Okay.
right? So those are your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows those are your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all live in the same house or the same compound, right?
Mm-hmm.
While nowadays people do baby mama. You don't live the same. Everybody lives in their different side,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
While some of your baby mama, you still have that productive bed with them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
While some you don't. You know, so it's the same thing, just different level of it. But I prefer polygamy because at least the whole family is together. The
Okay.
whole kids are together.
Okay.
Everybody sees each other as family. They eat in the same plate. They live in the same house. They see each other and they grow up with each other, knowing this is my brother. Compared to us seeing each other maybe once in a year
Mm-hmm.
or 2 times in a year when
Mm-hmm.
everybody comes together for like maybe 24 hours or 30 minutes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they see each other as family, but they don't have that bond. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So life is a transition where polygamy is the way that it was done before.
Mm-hmm.
And women was given a lot of birth. Like one woman will give you no less than 3 or 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've seen women that give 8, 9, 10. But nowadays you hardly see a woman that gave four or five kids, like birth 4 or 5 kids, like
Mm-hmm.
average.
Okay.
The average is 1 or 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want kids. We don't want 1 or 2, depending on your capacity of financiality. The
Mm-hmm.
more money a man makes, the more kids he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see all these celebrities having 10, 15, 11, 20 kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? But wouldn't it be better if it was polygamy when everybody's together?
Okay.
Everybody know each other. You know what I'm saying? You can attend to your family at once compared to you have a baby mama in Canada, you have a baby mama in New York, you have a baby mama in Chicago, you have a baby mama in London.
Mm-hmm.
How can you divide? Is you can divide yourself to visit them, but it's never gonna be equal to all the kids. Some are gonna feel like you gave David more time than me. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna think that David is more close in distance than me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Compared to we all together and everybody's getting the same attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say is, thank you for that explanation. Definitely different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
So when it comes to polygamy, my impression when it comes to African culture is it's typically one-sided, meaning that it's mainly the men that
Mhm.
have multiple wives. That you don't see situations where the woman has multiple husbands. Is that accurate? Or
Yeah, it's accurate and average, but there's a country that women have multiple
mm-hmm,
husbands.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on average, yes.
Okay, okay. So I get you can't get 100% in everything, but
Yep.
um, polygamy is not mutually exclusive to just men.
Mhm.
That would be either a man or a woman would have more than one spouse. Um, polygamy is just one of those things where I try to wrap my mind around it and think about like the best case scenario where I would, as a woman, agree to share my husband with another woman romantically. And I can't think of one situation where I would ever do that. But, to each their own. I know in some situations, if the husband or the wife is terminally ill and they feel that they can't fulfill their wifely or husbandly duties physically, that they allow their spouse to have someone else romantically. Not to say that they get married to the other person, but they're
Mhm.
able to like entertain them romantically. So that terminology is considered polyamory.
Mhm.
And that one is a practice of engaging in multiple romantic and typically sexual relationships with the consent of all people involved. So I think for a lot of people, that's what they aspire,
Mhm.
is to be polyamorous
Yeah. You
because they have consent from like their
mean
partner.
men or women or?
Both. Yeah, if that's what they choose.
Mhm.
I don't think it's polygamy. I don't think that people want to marry multiple people, especially because it's not legal here in the United States. But then just thinking about the financial aspect and the burden on the person who is marrying multiple spouses, financially they have to take care of all these people,
Mhm.
because not only the spouses but the children that
Yeah.
come. Like that's a big burden, just to be able to say you want to be able to sleep with as many people as you want. Like to me, there's no trade off there.
Mhm.
That's just my perspective. But if the idea is that you just want to have the freedom to just go sleep with whomever you want, then it's not polygamy. You're polyamorous. So what do you think about that?
Um. Yeah, polyamorous is like everybody knowing that they're sleeping
And it's
lady,
mutual. It's
and
not
it's
one sided, but they can both do it.
yeah, it's mutual, but still you still have some that in it, but they ain't happy. Meaning they want the lady by themselves, or the
Hmm.
lady wants only him by herself, right?
Okay.
But she's doing it just to not catch feelings, just to be mutual in feelings, right?
Okay.
Or she's doing it generally, and then she likes a specific guy more than all of them, right?
Hmm.
And she wished that she can be with that guy, right?
Hmm.
And it's not gonna work. Then one thing I wanna add, like the reality of life. Like I'm a big fan of reality, and
Aren't we all a big fan of reality?
now some people are on fairy tale and fake life,
Oh my
you
god,
know.
fairy
But
tale and fake life.
in reality of life, like you can prove me wrong, or anybody can prove me wrong. Men's we just want to have kids and have fun with a woman, right?
What does that even mean? You want to have fun? Just like
I'm
sleep around?
yeah, I'm coming to that. The reason why men's marry is because of cultural value. Where in Africa, if you have kids like with a woman and you're not married, right? That kid is not your kid. You know what I mean? That kid is not a kid. Your wife, the woman's family will hold that kid and make it hard for you not to even spend time with that kid.
Okay.
And the kids will grow up in their mother's place. And you don't have a kid. You're not respected in the society, right? Even though they are biologically they're your kids,
Hmm.
but you don't have that father privilege.
Okay.
The society frowns down on it, right?
Mm.
So as a man, you never want your lineage or blood to be outside. You always want it to be home,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So you marry her, you spend that money, you bring her in
Hmm.
to, build that bond and societal closure, right?
Hmm.
And you do that, and you have maybe you want to marry like 3 or 4 women, you do that, and
Hmm.
everybody lives together according to your resources, right?
Okay.
When in this generation, right,
Hmm.
you have guys. pregnating multiple women, right?
Mhm.
Maybe he wants 10 kids and he has three baby mamas, and those three baby mamas gives him 10 kids, right?
Mhm.
He'll go to the hospital, take out whatever he has to like to produce kids. Bisectomy, right? They call it bisectomy, right?
Vasectomy, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, go to the hospital and do a bisectomy, right? And then channel his child support monthly money or weekly money into those three baby mama or four baby mama, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The remaining, he's just chilling and enjoying all the women he can, and life is sweet. And that's what we are about, most men. I'm talking really, we just want to have fun, make sure the kids are good, and just be living in our own space and do what we want. You know what I mean? And not eat the same rice or beans every day and eat different varieties until God tells us to come to heaven. You know what I mean? That's the reality of what men want, right? And it's happening now. That's why you see more in the Western world. That's why you see more of baby mama level.
Mhm.
It's in a rise, and it keep rising. Because men are realizing, man, that okay, the society has no cultural norm of holding us or value in a systematic way. So the baby mama is favoring me. I want 10 kids. I make maybe $100,000 a year. I got three girls that'll give me that 10 kids or four girls. In my 100,000, 50,000 goes to them, 50,000 goes to me. I live in a studio and I can see any girl I want and enjoy my life, and life is sweet.
Interesting.
And my kids are good, and their mom is good. I don't have to worry about them because I don't care no more about the mom, but I care about the kids, and the kids are good. And I see all these girls outside with new girls, young girls. They say the beautiful ones are not yet born, right? So every year there's more beautiful coming. So I get to try different food every month or week or day, depending on my financial capacity of what I can bring out, right? And I'm good. And I do that till I die. If I live 100 years, yeah, I live 100 years as an OG. You know what I mean? As a professional OG, chilling. That's what the reality of men want. But we can't have that because the society has a constraint us in Africa that if you want a kid and you want this kid to be yours, you gotta marry that woman. You get what I'm saying? So you marry this woman, and then you marry the other woman, and you marry her to have the kids that you want, and then you home with three, four women, right?
Mhm.
And
But that's still not enough because there's
no,
still side women
no, it
too.
depends. No, it depends on the man. Like if you have three, four women, right? The majority is gonna be okay with their woman because you have three, four women that you gotta like sleep with. So it's like a timetable, and you living with them. So each one of them wants you every night. So you got to create a timetable, and you don't have you're limited on what you can come out in a day.